So let's move on to foreign trade. And so foreign trade is kind of made up of both exports and imports, right? So exports are goods that Canada is sending around or selling around the world, and imports are goods Canadians are buying. So we have exports and imports. And we're going to make two assumptions about exports and imports. So two assumptions. We're going to assume that exports are autonomous with respect to national income. So why? And so essentially what this means is we're going to say exports we're going to represent with X usually, a capital X, and we're kind of just assuming this is a constant. So it's a constant that doesn't rely on the level of Y. So it's autonomous with respect to Y. And the second assumption that we're going to make are that imports change with different values of Y. Change with national income. So they're going to be part of this kind of induced expenditure. So maybe I'll just write the same kind of imports, which we're usually going to use IM for short. We're going to assume that it relies on Y. So we're going to say M times Y, where this M is this marginal propensity to import. Marginal propensity to import. So if our national income goes up by $1, we're going to spend M amount of that dollar, some fraction of that dollar on imports. So that's the kind of idea there. And so notice that the higher levels of Y are going to make imports higher. It's not going to change the marginal propensity to import. That's going to be just like some fixed value. But if Y goes up, this term gets larger, so imports are going to go up. So just think, we're wealthier. If Canada's national income is higher, Canadians are wealthier and are going to purchase more of these goods from abroad. Is kind of the idea. All right. So exports and imports. Exports are just some constant. They're autonomous to national income. Imports, on the other hand, are going to rely on the level of national income. As national income goes up, imports are going to go up. And we'll take the functional form M times Y, where M is that marginal propensity to import. So let's kind of draw out our net export function. And we'll talk about how factors are going to influence the different levels of exports and imports that we see. All right, so we've made some assumptions about the functional form for now and kind of our baseline model. So we had net exports, our exports minus imports, and so maybe I'll just use our shorter version of this, so X minus IM. And we've kind of decided that exports are just autonomous to aggregate expenditure, so they're just some X0, where imports are part of induced aggregate expenditure, so they're equal to M times Y. So this is our net export function. So NX equals X0 minus M times Y. So we could think about what that looks like graphically. So we can change Y and we can put the dollar amount in billions or whatever it would be. And so if we're just drawing these individually, what it's going to look like is X0 is just some constant. Right, so this is that X0. And then the imports, if Y equals 0, imports are equal to 0, because M times 0 is 0. And so this is what our import function looks like, where the slope of this is M. And so what net exports are, it's the difference between exports and imports, right? So this minus this. So here's what they look like individually if we wanted to draw them on the same graph, the intercept is going to be x0, so the difference is going to be x0 when y equals 0. And this net export function has this negative slope. So as y goes up, we're subtracting a larger and larger value, so net exports is going down. So this is that net export function. So this is what our net export function looks like, and now we can start to talk about, well, what's going to cause exports to go up or down? So we're going to talk about a couple different factors that are going to influence either exports or imports or both. And they're going to either shift this function up or down, or they could change the slope of this net export function because of how they're influencing the individual components over here. So let's quickly discuss factors that are going to influence the exports or the net exports in our really simple economy here. And so we're going to think about two different factors right now. The first is going to be foreign income. So what happens if people around the world start to become wealthier? How does that influence our net exports? And the second one is going to be Canadian prices. So price levels. We've been kind of holding price levels constant here. So what if those constant level of prices kind of shift up or down? And we're going to hold foreign prices constant when we do this. It's all relative. So if everywhere around the world their prices change and Canadians don't, that's kind of the equivalent of Canadian prices changing as well, right? All right, so let's talk about these factors. Let's do one at a time. Let's maybe do the first one here and talk about what that changes or why it changes it, and then we'll erase it and do the second one. So the first one is about foreign income. As foreign income increases, they will buy more Canadian goods, just like how our imports rely on Y in this model, other countries' imports are going to rely on Y. And so as these other countries' Ys go up, their national incomes go up, they're going to start importing more Canadian goods, right? So as foreign income increases, they will import more Canadian goods. Again, we're looking at Canadian perspective, I guess, here. Well, this kind of means that our exports, Canadian exports, go up, right? So as foreign income goes up, X0 is going to get larger, which is going to kind of shift up our net export function, if you want to think of it that way. So if we drew out our net export function, where the intercept was, this is where they were equal, y-intercept was x0, it's just kind of going to raise, it's not going to change the slope, which is just that minus of that marginal propensity to consume. It's just going to, maybe it's getting a bit messy here, but it's going to shift the function up. Whereas if foreign income goes down for whatever reason, then our exports are going to go down and this line is going to go shift down. So let's quickly erase this and we can talk about the second of these factors, which is a bit more complicated. So let's talk about the second factor, and so Canadian prices. So how, if they change, how that's going to affect our net exports. So we can either think of that as kind of a price level change in general, or if there's an exchange rate change, that's also going to influence, what the relative prices are. And so here, so 2, if Canadian prices increased, so this would be if, in relative sense, if it appreciated in value, in terms of the exchange rate, or for whatever reason the Canadian prices went up, our exports are going to go down because now all of a sudden our goods are relatively more expensive to other countries' goods. So X0 will go down. Canadian goods have become relatively more expensive. And the other thing that's going to happen is that our imports are going to change. Again, so this is about other people from other countries are going to import less Canadian goods, so that's why our exports are going down. But all of a sudden, our goods are relatively more expensive as well. And so what's going to happen is that M is going to increase. We're going to start importing more goods. So this is going to change both the intercept and the slope of our net export function. So if we drew out our net export function, I mean, it's kind of the same reason why, our marginal propensity to import is going up is because Canadian goods are more expensive. So we're more likely to import these goods because they become relatively cheaper than the Canadian goods that we were having before. So if we were going to draw this, I'm just hoping it's going to fit on the screen here. This is our net export function, and this is y. If our original net export function looked like this, where the intercept was x0, the slope was minus m, and this is net exports, what's going to happen is that x0 is going down, so the intercept goes down, but m is going up, so this slope is getting steeper. Minus m, I'm going to put a prime there. So this is our new net export function. So very pronounced on this graph, but it shifts down and becomes steeper if there's a change in Canadian prices or a change in exchange rates. If the Canadian dollar starts to become worth more, it's the same idea. Exports are going to go down because now it's more expensive to buy Canadian goods if you're from other countries. And we're more likely to import other goods, so our marginal propensity to import goes up because, again, foreign goods have become relatively cheaper as a result of this appreciation of the Canadian dollar.